I'm a design consultant with Main Street, Iowa. In that role, I help provide historic preservation and downtown revitalization guidance in our Main Street districts throughout the state. This video exists to illustrate how energy efficiency and renewable energy can be incorporated into Main Street districts. Not long ago, saying energy efficiency and historic preservation in the same sentence was a little bit like an oxymoron. Luckily, local Main Street leaders have now proven that it can be done. Woodbine and West Union have both been selected by the Iowa Economic Development Authority as green pilot programs. Demonstration projects in these communities have included district-wide energy audits, energy efficiency incentives for small businesses, the installation of geothermal amidst building rehabilitation in Woodbine, a planned district-wide geothermal system in West Union, and much, much more. In Historic Valley Junction, the rehabilitation of West Des Moines Historic City Hall, now home to the Historic Valley Junction Foundation offices, is a one-of-a-kind green demonstration project that, among other things, included the installation of solar photovoltaic panels on the roof to help produce electricity for the building. Making these improvements can help lower operating costs, create enthusiasm for a Main Street district, as well as create stable places for commercial properties where it's cost-effective to do business. We're excited to share these examples with you from Woodbine, West Union, and West Des Moines as local leaders describe the progress they've made so far and some of the things that they've learned along the way.
The city's role in the energy efficiency has basically been administering a $70,000 grant that came from IDED with business owners to get them to make some minor and major improvements to lower their utility savings and make their buildings more efficient. So we've worked with the property owners to help identify those, working with energy audits that were done, and then getting those improvements made. Initially, there were 7 property owners that were involved. At about half of those have come back and said there's some other things now we'd like to do. They're seeing the importance and the impact, and some of them have seen up to 50% energy savings. And there's been behavior changes as well as the building retrofits. With that, there's others saying now, hey, I'd kind of like to participate in that. And so there's been some buildings that have transitioned to owners, and we're able to help them as initial building owners participate in these programs as well. So it's definitely started small and snowballing a little bit.
And now we've begun several geothermal projects. Part of this development at the historic renovation of the Oddfellows and Siebel's department store, the development across the street, the Woodbine Savings Bank, will also have geothermal. We did geothermal at the Allegiant Clinic, which worked out well. We had the space available to do those things, but we're finding now that if we knew then what we know now, we might have, planned for a larger geothermal type district, and that's something we're considering now. With regard to energy, with the USDA Rural Development REAP program, it's important that the energy audits be done by a certified energy manager in order to qualify. And they only apply to commercial, which is limiting, but still very useful. Most of the other funding mechanisms have been very easy. The tracking's been easy, whether it's been Office of Energy Independence, directly from IDED, USDA Rural Development, and most every organization I've worked with has been very helpful in working us through the processes.
Yeah, this is the geothermal well field. We're putting geothermal heating and air conditioning into the building, and I think there's between 12 and 16 wells drilled back here to provide geothermal support to the HVAC system in the building. I would expect significant efficiency benefits over what was in the building before. The HVAC system in the building before was pretty old and outdated. anything really would have improved it. This, I think, is probably the most efficient way to go, especially for the long term. So it will flatten itself back out, and we're hoping to use it as a parking lot. So it'll be gravel, and there'll be some well caps, but for the most part, it'll be back to its original condition.
Been and how do we communicate that out to the businesses and to share with them. But we've also taken on the role of trying to find as many resources as we can to help people make energy efficiency measures. Our Main Street program is currently administering a grant program that allows business owners to make improvements, and then we rebate them back part of the cost of those improvements, helping to reduce their bottom line. We also will be the administrative capacity for our DOE mini grant awards. And so we've hopefully built capacity in that we're able to help our local businesses make these changes. Many of the businesses located in West Union are small mom and pop operations, and so these sorts of improvements are very difficult for them, not only from a time standpoint in having the time to free themselves to learn what they need to learn about the new programs and policies, but also from a financial aspect. It's in these tough economic times, it's very hard for them to look at that investment on a short-time basis and a long-term basis as well.
Anybody in my position would stand here today and they'd like to see the entire town on district-wide geothermal heating and cooling. So as an ultimate goal, yeah, but this is something that's going to take baby steps. We were fortunate enough to have the DOE and the EPA come on board, along with CDBG, to fully fund the initial phase of the district-wide geothermal system. And there's been a lot of challenges with that, one of them being just educating the community. Geothermal is still a new technology, although it's been around for several years. In a community our size, it's somewhat unheard of. So, you know, you've had a lot of individual businesses do these things, but not a community as a whole, and try to pull it together. So it's been a long education process, one that will continue for some time, to get people to understand how using ground source water you can actually heat and cool your building at a significantly lower cost than running electricity and gas.
From an energy perspective, last time I checked, I don't believe energy costs are going to go down anytime soon. So when we have an opportunity to do an energy audit and say, okay, what are we doing well? What do we need to improve upon? What are some things that we don't even know about that's going on with our building? We jumped at the chance at that. As far as the streetscape project with the geothermal district, it comes back to if we can light the lights and power the computers and do everything we need and do it cheaper, that means it's easier for us to stay here long term.
The city was awarded an energy efficiency block grant from the federal government, from the Department of Energy. And one of our proposed programs was a demonstration portion. And this allowed us to kind of dovetail a lot of the improvements we were doing in this building. And since it was a public building and we do get a lot of visitors here, it really was set up to start demonstrating different things that you could do both in your home and your business.
We have a steady flow of people through this building with the Welcome Center in the front, the classroom upstairs, which was the City Council chambers. We have people in here truly every single day looking at the building, and they're fascinated by the green roof, fascinated by the solar panels, and just the other things we did in the building. We hear comments every day what a beautiful renovation it is. They come up the steps, they see the green, they hear about the solar panels, and I think it also is great to show people, again, it's not a new building at all.
Really is kind of a nice way to set up a system. We've got this set up so we have a net metering agreement with the utility company. So as we produce energy, the first thing it does is look to see if there's a load in the building. And if there's a load in the building, if people are active, then it satisfies that load. If for some reason it's producing energy and there's no load, then it feeds that back onto the grid, and Mid-American Energy will give us credit for that energy we're producing. Also, what allows us to kind of demonstrate this is that particular inverter and the information on the energy production can be communicated via website. So we can look at, see how much energy we're producing, how much we're actually consuming, what's going on the grid. And so we can use that as a teaching tool. We can display it either here or have people look it up separately and see how much energy we're producing and where is it going. Start the conversation early with the utility company, at least 3 or 4 months before you actually go online with your system. There's an actual set of paperwork that you have to go through, and the installer and the supplier, everybody has to provide information for that. And then the city has to sign off on the installation. Well, again, most of our inspectors aren't familiar with that kind of system. So that's where that commission agent really came in and was very helpful in saying, yes, this is installed properly, or no, it's not. If we didn't have them involved, I think we probably would have been floundering.